Hello, welcome back to the Heartland Mamas. I'm Heidi Henry. Murray Briel is still on hiatus. I just did a 30-minute show with my microphone on mute. Okay, boomer. So I just wanted to say I am so sorry for those of you that tuned in and watched for 30 minutes as I waved my hands around in the air uncontrollably, because that's a hallmark of who I am. So the Heartland Mama is bringing you the progressive news and views that you can use right here from the edge of the Great Red Divide. You can find us on all podcast platforms, YouTube, and part of the Demcast USA network. So we're going to try this again. The gun violence show. Ninth gun violence show. Sorry, I had to think about that for a minute. So I went on and expounded for 30 minutes about how we got here, because I'm a really big, I really love to follow the progression of things so that we know what's going on. You know, how did we get here? How did we get here right now? Because we don't know how we got here unless we take a look at the history to see how we got here, right? So how we got here, I mean, there's so many different ways. I talk about the Wild West myth all the time about, Gunsmoke and Bonanza and the Cisco Kid and all that stuff that I watched as a kid, and the movies that my dad took my oldest brother to all the time when he was growing up, where, if you counted all the people that died, and the thing was with the Wild West myth is that, most people that went west died of starvation, diphtheria, cholera. They didn't die by gun violence because you had to check your guns at City Hall, at the town, edge of town. You couldn't bring your guns in. They would throw you out of town because it was too dangerous, right? And most cowboys couldn't afford to own guns because even their, like, horses, saddles, bridles, all of that stuff belonged to the company, and the company didn't even let them take them to town. That's the truth of it, And listen, as a horse crazy person, my entire life, I mean, since I think I was born, when I was born, I said horse. And I say that every day. I've had horses every day of my life since I was 6 years old. It's a long time. Every day of my life. It's just how I am. So I watched all the Westerns. Not so much to watch the shoot 'em up bang. I watched them to look at the horses, the bits, how they held their hands. Horses don't whinny all the time like they do in the Westerns. They don't, when they talk to each other, it's silent. It's body language. And that's how they talk. But the cowboys that come, bang, bang into town, that never happened. Like, if that happened once, then you'd be arrested and put in jail and your guns would be confiscated. That's how the West kept the peace. Now, there were a few famous shootouts, there was a few famous shootouts, but not many, not as many as glorified by the movies. The Wild West was made up by the dime novelist and then Hollywood. So, it wasn't true. Hardly any of it. If you want to talk about people starving to death on their way out west, we could talk about that all day. I could tell you all the numbers on that. The fact that over a third of the cowboys were black. They were runaway slaves. God bless them, So, and yeah, the Indians were on the warpath all the time because we were stealing their land. So I don't blame them. I do not blame them at all. Somebody came and took my house away, I might think about scalping them. You never know. So, but we have to talk about how do we get here right at this day and time. And we have to go back to the Brady Bill, when the Brady Bill was passed, which was 1994. And remember, we passed it because people were going around with Uzis, with some little Italian submachine guns, and they were about this big. My pops wanted one really bad because my pops was a collector, and he was always sure the Russians were coming and they were going to come right to our door, and he had to be armed and ready. So my pops wanted an Uzi. Well, they were really expensive and he had 7 children to raise. So he never got the Uzi. And then the Brady Bill passed and he couldn't get the Uzi. He was just devastated. And he wasn't a big Floyd supporter here in Illinois, not when I was a kid. He was really worried about that, about registering your guns meant they would come and take them, the government would take them. And he was worried that our government would go communist overnight, and that's when that would happen. I don't know. He told me it's in his older age that he was waiting for the Russians to come, but the Russians came, invited in the front door by the third-rate game show host that's the previous president. And he said that he wasted a lot of time and money worrying about that, and don't do that. So he was a very wise man and a lot of fun. I sure miss him every day. And I would love to talk to him about the gun debate, because this is something, is the 3-bullet hunter, one to miss, one to hit, one to finish the job. He would tell you nobody needs an assault rifle to hunt. If you do, you're a piss poor hunter, right? I mean, he would just tell you to your face and say, do you need a ride to the grocery store? Because I got your back, and he would take you down and get you a Wonder Roast chicken, That's just the kind of guy he was. But way back in 1991, Texas elected Ann Richards. And if you don't know who Ann Richards is, shame on you, because she was amazing. She was a kick-ass woman. And she did a lot of really good things for Texas, and we won't go into that now. We did an Ann Richards show years ago, or a couple of years ago, so you can look that up if you want. But she was there. She was their governor from 91 to 95, and there was this young upstart, W. Bush, that may or may not have been from Texas. He could have been from Maine, but, Texas was his identity. If you look at early tapes from George W. Bush talking, he didn't have the Texas twang until about 90. So 90, 91. Anyway, so he ran against Ann Richards on the concealed carry issue. And I know you've all heard me talk about this before, but this is really important that we understand this. He won against Ann Richards on the concealed carry issue in the state of Texas, where the Wild West myth is embraced with everything they've got, right? So they went from sensible Ann Richards to George W. Bush. I can't even wrap my head around that. Anyway, so he not only passed concealed carry, he was like, no, we're just going to have open carry. And if you've been to Texas, and I used to show horses a lot, we go down to Fort Worth all the time, and everybody's strapped. It's either in their jacket, on their hip. Sometimes when you see those pictures and people are shopping at the grocery store and they're just, just completely loaded for bear, that is Texas or Michigan, usually, The only state to have more mass murders since Uvalde, Michigan, followed by Texas. For real. For real. I mean, Texas, come on, get your head out of your ass. It's unattractive and it smells bad. Stop it. So anyway, they got, he allowed open carry to happen all through Texas, and Texans were happy. Bang, bang. Wild West myth. Anyway, so then he becomes president. I don't know who decided they should tap W, of all people. I think because Reagan had been so malleable, and they were able, and now we know that Reagan had Alzheimer's, and that's why he was so malleable when he was president. And you have to remember, with Ronald Reagan, you give him a script, he's going to talk from it, right? None of that stuff was his idea. It's just a script. He was just an actor, and not even a really good actor. But finally, somebody was giving him good scripts to read every day, and he did a bang-up job with that. And anyway, so I think they thought W, who's not a smart man, was somebody they could control, and they thought they'd bring him in, right? So W is like, in Texas, we allowed open carry. What's this Brady Bill thing? Oh, we're going to let that expire. We don't need to have that. W, get us into 2 unwinnable wars that cost us trillions of dollars. Allow the Brady Bill to sunset. I don't know how many deaths that W is directly responsible, but when he dies, I would hate to see what happens to him on the other side. It's not going to be good. It will not be good. And we have to believe, if you believe that there's a creator and redeemer, that there's a special place in hell for George W. Bush. Yes, I said it, and I've said that about Ronald Reagan and a few other people. And most of those people, I've told that to their face, so... that's just how it is. So anyway, since W allowed the Brady Bill to expire, we had this huge influx in mass murders, mass gun murders, right? And as people have gotten more and more paranoid, they've invented larger clips because, let me tell you, in Uvalde, we saw it in real time where the police were outgunned by one 18-year-old kid with one rifle that he carried in. They were outgunned. So they did nothing, and more people died. I know that that's still a story that's unfolding, but the very fact that those people are not even speaking to the press anymore and are refusing to take part in the investigation into what happened just shows you that Texas has just really effed it up. And not only did Texas allow open carry, last year even after all the mass murders they've had in El Paso and Waco, they decided, let's go permitless carry. So you don't have to do anything but go to the store, swipe your debit card, and you can walk out with a shopping cart full of stuff. Guns, long guns, short guns, handguns, lots of bullets, whatever you want. Just swipe that debit card. You can take whatever you want. Hell, it's Texas. You couldn't pay me to go there. And, I was thinking about that with Michigan, all the mass murders that they've had in Michigan. I don't think I want to go there either. God knows I wouldn't set foot in Florida, and we'll talk about Florida in a minute. But my husband would love to go to Michigan on vacation this summer. I'm thinking no, because they're outpacing Texas in mass murders. And I love some of the people in their government in Michigan, and others, it's like, oh my God, where did you people come from? So, but, you move a rock, everything slithers out. That's just all I'm saying. So now they have this permitless carry where this 18-year-old who was, had told people he was going to die by murder-suicide, told people that, but nobody stopped him. Nobody prevented that young man from going and buying those guns. Nobody. Because that's not how Texas rolls. And they don't care to roll that way. They don't care. So, because they want to embrace that Wild West myth, and they want to keep going just the way they are. So, here's what happens. They've got all these kids and parents just living in fear. We saw a complete failure from law enforcement down there. It's not that they could help it. Yeah, I think they could have helped it. I think they could have done better. And I don't mean militarized Uvalde police force or school police force. I think they just need to plan better, damn it, Texas. Get your head out of your ass. I'm just serious about that. How many people have to die? Louis Gohmert came out and just was complaining today that the Democrats are standing on stepladders yelling to the world that Republicans allow the murder of children. You know what, Louis Gohmert? You will never in the rest of your life get the blood and brains of those kids off of your body. Not just off of your hands, but you are splattered from top to toe. Shame on you for trying to deflect this and put it back onto the victims. Shame on you, Louis Gohmert. What an asshole. There's no other way to put it. How would you do that, to say that? Of course we're yelling from the rooftops. Of course we are. Because since Uvalde, we've had 47 more mass shootings, sorry, not murders, but mass shootings in the United States. There's a site that I went to that was called, hang on, I want to get that for you, in case you want to look it up, because, that's how I spend my day. I look up stuff so you don't have to, but it was gunviolencearchive.org. They keep them in real time for you, just so you can see what the death toll is today. What is the death toll today at the deli counter? Let's look. Let's see, just 17, only 17. We had 45,000 freaking deaths by gun violence last year alone. 45,000 people. I grew up in Glen Ellen, Illinois, in the far western suburbs. That's like wiping out all of Glen Ellen. Like the whole town is gone. That's how many people have died from gun violence in the United States, and the GQP do nothing to stop it. Louis Gohmert. And we can add, there's enough Democrats in on this too, but mostly it's Republicans. If we could just get them to stop being so goddamn pious about it and beholden to the NRA, for God's sake, you have children you send to school too, but you might send them to a private school that's got a total lockdown. And the psychological damage that's happening to the children and the parents every time there's an active shooter drill, much less a shooting, we're making these families live in constant PTSD, constant threat, constant fear. And this is destroying these kids. Because with the Wild West myth and the dime novels, and then the police dramas, and now the video games, where it's just shoot, kill anything Your kill count has to be high, right, in video games, or you're not successful. But you kill without remorse. You kill without a plan. You kill because it has to be killed. You kill because somebody trespasses, takes your stuff, walks across your property, pets your dog, whatever, right? And you kill them. And there's no, after they're dead, nobody talks about what happens after that in these movies, books, games. Nobody talks about the prosecution. Nobody talks about the grieving families. Nobody talks about the funeral expenses. But this happens in real life all the time. Because we only learn consequences after it happens again and again and again and again and again. How many people have to die before we're finally going to do something about it? I'm glad I live in Illinois, and I don't have to worry about going to church and have somebody coming in and blowing us away. Right? Yeah, there is some inner city violence with guns that come from other states with no gun laws. I'm looking at you, Missouri, and I'm looking at you, Indiana, because you know you send your guns up to Chicago. You don't care. As long as your gun stores get the cash that they need and pay their taxes, what do you care if they kill some black person in Chicago? And I can tell that that's why you're thinking that. I can tell that that's what you're thinking. Well, it's the lowest common denominator to us rednecks. Damn straight it is. You don't value human life. You don't value it at all. You value control and power and money. That's all you value. Because if you valued human life in reality, you would do everything under your control. You would bust your ass today to pass gun legislation that would make a real difference. But you sit on your ass and you collect your NRA checks. Shame on you. Shame on you. How dare you put these kids in danger every damn day? I think about the fear that they live in. How people can't even live their lives right now. You know, we have people up here. I have parents of children that come here for riding lessons. And the fear that they go through every day when they pack their kid off on the bus. Nobody should have to live like this. This is the United States. This is where people are supposed to be safe and have purpose. This is the freedom we discuss, but we are not free. We are beholden to a small amount of people that are the militant right. There's about 20% that would fall down into this category, and an even smaller percent that would actually do something about it. Proud Boys, 3%ers, all that bullshit. And then you have these kids that can't get away from it. They can't get away from this little section of predatory people that live here in the United States. But the gun manufacturers are also predatory. And the gun salespeople are also predatory. And the GQP, you're also predatory. We need to rescind the protections against the gun manufacturers. No more. If I have to have a warranty tag on this cup, because it might have something in it that will hurt me, a damn gun should have one too. And when you get sued, you will stop providing the world with so many weapons. Our weapons don't just stay here in the United States. They go to Mexico and cause all kinds of hell down there. Shame on you. You're not just killing people here. You're killing people there. But you don't care because their skin is black or brown. Shame on you. They're children. They're not voters. Is that where you're thinking? I mean, seriously. If I have to look at one more goddamn Republican ad with somebody firing a gun, fuck you. That's not who we are as Americans. That's not who we are. Stop it. Stop it. Snap out of it. Whatever mind control is on you, mental illness that's on you that thinks that this is okay, shame on you. Stop it. Our children need us to be present in their lives. American citizens, people who live and visit this country, people who come here on vacation, who are on work visas, or who came here illegally, I really don't care. They need you to protect them. And if you can't protect even the children in school legally, if you can't even do that, then you shouldn't be a public servant. You're not a public servant. You're a scourge upon the earth and on humanity, and shame on you. I've had it. I was talking to somebody today and I said, I've been fighting my whole life for women's rights, equal pay, since I was a preteen for what happened with Roe v. Wade. And all of that's going away because we didn't do the hard work we had to do. And we didn't codify stuff, and we didn't codify the Brady Bill like we should have. People don't need these weapons. I saw a bumper sticker today that said, send our automatic weapons to Ukraine. Well, please, let's do that. If I had one, I'd send it to the soldiers in Ukraine. What am I going to do with it? Listen, if I can't shoot better than that, if I just need to be random shooting, shame on me. Shame on me. I just want you to know that we can do better than this. You need to call your senators right away. Here in Illinois, I have Duckworth and Durbin, and they are busting their ass to get this done. But you need to call them too. It can't just be me. And I also need you to go to vote.org right now and share that with everybody you know. Check your voter registration. Register to vote right there on that website. Share it with people you know that may not be registered. Get people motivated. Drive them to the polls. Help them. Take them in for early voting and then out for lunch. You don't have to tell them how to vote. That's not a requirement. You just help them get there. Help them vote. But whatever you do, don't sit on your ass. Do not. We're in the middle of primary season. Pick your candidates and vote. And then whoever primaries through, you get behind them and you push them with all of your might. You walk for them. You make phone calls for them. You send texts for them. You send emails for them. You send them money. But you help get them elected. Vote, 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 vote. We can't keep going down this path. We keep going down this path, we're going to have a generation of children with such profound PTSD and no mental health services to take care of them. None at all. Do you know how hard it is if you're on Medicaid to see a social worker, to see a psychiatrist? It takes months if you can get in at all. Don't let this happen. Help the people you can help. Do the things you can do. Make a difference. Make a difference. But whatever you do, don't do nothing at all. This is on you. I'm going to say goodnight because this is the second time I've done this again. I think I was madder this time than I was last time. I had a chance to stew about it. And I could see that, God, unless you get on your high horse and really scream all the way to the polls, nothing's going to get done. So you have to do this. You have to help me out. I can't do it. I'll be in front. I'll take point if you need me to. God knows nothing scares me. I wrestle horses every day for a living. Whatever. I'll get out in front. I'll help you get there. But you've got to help humanity. You've got to help the USA. So Heidi Henry, Murray Briel, my podcast partner, still on hiatus. And God, I miss her so much. Murray, come back. You can find all of our previous works at Heartland Mamas, MAMAS.com. You can, if you want to be a sponsor of our show, heartlandmamas@gmail.com. You can find us on all podcast platforms, YouTube, and right here on Facebook. So thank you so much for tuning in. I apologize for the first go round and for my foul language this time. It's just kind of really important. All right. See you.